There are many things the world does not need, and there are things in tennis that repeatedly provide fuel for discussions, but are actually something that tennis does not need as well. My opinion on this in this video. I was also here in Soma Bay, Egypt over Christmas. There were a few young players here over the holidays, and slowly the first participants for the upcoming future tournaments at our facility began to arrive. Once again, the weather was perfect for the most part. The wind was rarely a disturbance, and in the early evening hours the conditions are ideal anyway. Our floodlights are of excellent quality, their temperatures are perfect, and there's almost never any wind. It was quiet in Vienna over the holidays. Yuri Rodionov completed his final training sessions before leaving for his first tournament of 2026, and with New Caledonia as his destination, many hours on the plane were once again guaranteed. The other players still have time before their first competition, so as I said, things were a bit more relaxed over the holidays. But that will change in the first week of January. If you are into tennis, it was hard to avoid one topic this week, the so-called battle of the sexes between Sabalenka and Kyrgios. I have to admit, I couldn't bring myself to watch the match. A 3-minute summary on YouTube was enough for me. And it confirmed what I thought and expected about this topic. It was a show, nothing more, nothing less. Despite the restriction imposed on Kyrgios, I didn't expect it to be a serious match. Just seeing the court felt like an unnecessary defeat for Sabalenka. My question was, why does she have to do this to herself? She is the number one in her sport and achieves extraordinary things, and going into this matchup, regardless of the conditions, does not really benefit women's tennis. If she loses, it diminishes the appreciation for women's tennis, and even if she were to win under the given restrictions, those very restrictions would undermine the success. One thing it was, I think, in any case, a financial success for the two players and the organizer. But I think Sabalenka is so successful as a player that she doesn't need this extra money. I don't know why these comparisons and discussions between women's and men's tennis keep coming up, but in my opinion, they are unnecessary. For me, it's obviously the same sport, but just like in nature, there's water and land. Both are part of nature, but fundamentally different in detail. In Vienna, we have a player who trains with us with a ranking of around 1400 in the ATP World Rankings. This player would probably not lose a match on the women's tour, as the physical differences and the resulting changes in terms of serve, agility, speed, variability, endurance and ball handling are too significant. A hitting session with a WTA player and an ATP player works very well. Very often the women are more consistent and make fewer mistakes. But as soon as you start moving around the court, the differences become too noticeable. So my conclusion is that Sabalenka is the number one in her sport, and achieving this in the global sport of tennis needs no further recognition or confirmation. That's why serious competition should always be valued, and shows should be seen for what they are: entertainment, nothing more and nothing less. Thank you for your attention, and see you in the next video.